Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. It is a new week. It is a blank canvas. Let's paint pictures. Let's tell stories. Squaddies, happy Monday.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. To those listening on Apple and Spotify, thank you so much for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and please leave us a review. Those listening on replay on YouTube, make sure your voice is heard in our football democracy in that comments section. To those joining live, my squaddies, welcome to you. And guess what? It's just me. There's no Jordan. So for those of you that want to tune out, you can tune out. But I'm sure you won't. I'm sure you'll stick with me. Unfortunately, Jordan couldn't make it. He got a late assignment and you know what? We're going to forgive him, even though he's going to get a yellow card. All right. It should be a red, really. But jokes aside, he's doing a piece on the Lionesses. So we'll forgive Jordan for not being here. But you have me and we have each other and we have the live chat. And who knows, maybe I'll open it up for one of you to be my co-host today and guest. If you fancy it, let me know. Put HS before your comment. And if you do want to come on and co-host with me, then maybe we'll do something spontaneous today. Please make sure you listen to our Chief Like Officer, Tammy Steels. We are on the road to 20K, thanks to all of the new subscribers who have joined Squad Central. It means the world to me. And thank you for, spending valuable time away from your family and friends to squeeze in a little bit of Highbury Squad as well. Good evening to Shaitanya. Good evening to Trevor. PW is here. Andy is here. Patrick. Soph, love the picture, but remember GYÖKERES is Spurs, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool's bane. Yeah. I know. I mean, I just use the image. I can't control, the art. Do you know what I'm saying? Andy is here. I may have said that. Ryan is here. Carol is here. All the mods in the house. Patrick is here as well. Let's see who else. We got Paul in the house. Thunder Road. That always reminds me of Greece. We're gonna race Thunder Road. That's what we're racing for. Pinks, baby. That was my attempt at being a T-Bird. Love that. Love that movie so much. Listen, Thunder Road, I am going to do the T-Bird rather than the GYÖKERES. It's really funny, isn't it? Especially when you saw so many people ripping Arsenal to shreds about the transfer window. And then you've got grown men doing the GYÖKERES celebration. And listen, I know it's a big signing. Everyone's very excited. But I don't want to tire of the celebration before he's even scored a goal for us this coming season. Maybe that's me being a little bit, I don't know. Is it sullen? Maybe I'm being a little bit sullen about it. But hello, Femi. Hello, Donald. Good evening, Harvey. Hello. No comments from you today. Why? Are you in trouble, Harvey? Did you get in trouble by one of the mods? BX Gunner is here as well. Victor GYÖKERES is indeed in Singapore. So, yeah, we're going to get stuck into that and a little bit more. I'm going to give you some updates on a few bits and pieces for this week. No Jordan, double Sophie. Tammy, thank you so much. You're too kind. Right, so let's see. FK and I have been talking about a show, so that'll happen. But listen, I've been going solo for a long time. No problems here. You can't stop me talking. And if you like hearing me talk, look out for the video section today, because I'm going to upload a double bill from the weekend. I had the honor of representing the squaddies and the Arsenal community on Sky Sports, talking about Victor GYÖKERES with Tom White on Saturday. It was the kind of unofficial, official announcement. And then on Sunday, as I was making my halloumi, and my gabires, that's my halloumi and toast with my Greek olives and Greek coffee. I got a call, and our good friend James was hosting on Sunday. That was yesterday. And they asked me to come back on to talk about the official signing, which I got word of from a very good source earlier on in the day. And I kept my mouth shut because that's the right thing to do about Victor Gyökeres. I will say one thing, I thought the Zubimendi video was much more exciting than the Victor Gyökeres one. And maybe that's because there was more time to create the Zubimendi video. Maybe that's me being, again, a little bit of a harsh critic. Just being honest, I liked it. I thought it was okay. But overall, I think the most important thing was the fact that the deal was done. It was announced. I just found the video a little bit underwhelming, but I found the signing exceptionally overwhelming. So if you want to hear me talk about Victor Gyökeres and other Arsenal bits and pieces, when I had the opportunity to open my Greek gob, I made sure I squeezed in a few other subjects as well. And I think going unnoticed is the renewal contracts of Lewis Skelly, Waneri, and Big Gabby. We talked a little bit about Eze as well. So look out on the video section. I will be posting those today. I'll also be posting 2 or 3 different segments on TalkSport. I've been talking about Arsenal women and the Lionesses with a few of the gang over at TalkSport. It's been really cool ride following the Lionesses during the Euros. I have to say, I really enjoyed doing those pieces. And I'll share a few of those with you as well. I just, before we get to Gyökeres and all of that stuff, let's make sure you hit the like button as well. Listen to Ryan, listen to Tammy. Chaitanya says, so if I like the Gyökeres video, no BS, straight to work. I like that too. Yeah, I do. But in a time when there's, Arsenal, the marketing gurus of everything, I just thought it was a little underwhelming. So yeah, I will post the Lioness stuff as well. Before we get stuck into Arsenal and a little bit of what we've seen on the tour, I would love it if you guys could please take a visit over to the playlist section in the live section. Susie Rack was on the show on Friday, and I would love a little bit more love for our women's content. It would mean the world to me. I've been on this road for a very, very long time. I started covering the US women's national team in 2011. And even then, as super famous, and they had, legends like Alex Morgan was just starting out actually at that phase, and Abby Wambach and Carly Lloyd, Megan Rapinoe, and a whole bunch of others standing on the sideline where you were able to kind of get one-on-one time. And then, the game just grew and grew and grew, and to see it grow in England and Europe, and to see the WSL just flourish, and the fixture list came out, and Susie Rack has been a huge champion for women's football, one of the best voices in women's football. Her podcast alongside Faye Carruthers for The Guardian is and has been one of the best. And Susie joined us on Friday before the final, and we talked about the Arsenal women and the impact that they have had on these Lionesses, and some great insights into Chloe Kelly and Michelle Agermang from Susie as well. And, it was an unbelievable tournament for the Arsenal women. I was so happy to see players like Russo, who was an unsung hero because, let's face it, Chloe Kelly's such a scene stealer that Russo's off the ball work and what she brought to the team, I'm not saying went unnoticed. Of course it didn't. But she was a beast. For me, one of the players of the tournament. And in fact, our good friend of the show, Albert, just sent this to me, which is the team of the tournament. And Russo made the team of the tournament, as did Kelly, as did Lucy Bronze as well. And of course, Hannah Hampton in goal. She was magnificent. Not a gunner, not part of the Arsenal women team, but talk about step into a role. Mary Earps obviously didn't fancy the competition, and now you can see why. If there's as much as Michelle Agermang was a revelation, from this tournament, Hannah Hampton, talk about nerves of absolute steel. Lucy Bronze playing with a broken tibia the entire tournament reminded me of Tiger Woods in that US Open against Rocco. at Torrey Pines, playing on a broken leg, pretty much. She's an absolute baller. What a star she is. What a legend. I know she wears the rival Chelsea shirt, but credit where it's due. Lucy Bronze was absolutely superb. And Alessia Russo, as I said, I'm so happy that she made the team of the tournament because she was brilliant. And if you were listening to some of the commentary from Emma Hayes and Steph Catley and Ian Wright yesterday, they felt that England totally lost their shape and the ability to kind of work off the ball and control the ball when Russo went off. She is just such a baller, and to see her flourish this last season and have the impact that she's had not only at Arsenal but also for the Lionesses has been brilliant. And Chloe Kelly, my goodness, what do you say about Chloe Kelly? She's just been incredible. We often talk on this show about, super subs and stuff like that. I've often referred to Leandro Trossard. I love, the fact that Trossard developed this super sub persona. And I believe every single team should have a super sub. I think it's okay to it's like the starters and the finishers, right? Or as we've been discussing recently, tier 1, tier 2. What does that mean? But to have impact players just shows you. This is why when we talk about building a squad, we've complained so much in the Arsenal men's team about Mikel squeezing every inch out of that starting 11, wanting to start the same players. But when you see the success of Manchester City and Liverpool, when you look at Chelsea women over the years and how dominant they've been, it is because they have a great squad of players rotating in the right games at the right time in the league, rotating at the right time and being able to bring in players to play in cup competitions, being able to keep your players fresh and fit for the fight in the last part of the season. And, Chloe Kelly's impact has been incredible. Michelle Agermang's impact, and you saw really, and I say this with the utmost respect, they got more minutes in the final yesterday. Michelle Agermang didn't have the same impact. Chloe Kelly, of course, did. But even she went through quite a period of about 20 minutes where she wasn't really involved in the game. And of course, it was hard for England to get the ball. Spain dominated possession completely. But to have super subs and game changers is massive. And I do feel that Arsenal have and are doing that, the men's team. But before we get to that, Chloe Kelly was and had talked about it herself. It went really bad for her at Manchester City. She was falling out of love with football. And listen to the Susie Rack show, because the way she talks about Chloe's journey and how she was thinking about even giving up the game, it is amazing to see her shine. Is there a player out there, man or woman, who plays as fearless as her? She gives absolute zeros. It's incredible. She plays fearless, not fearful. And that is another aspect of football that is so important. The mentality part. Tiger Woods used to beat players before they even used to get onto the first tee because mentally he just crushed their soul. They knew what was coming. And Chloe Kelly's impact on this Lioness team has been nothing short of sensational. And she has infused this confidence and this belief, and the way she just stepped up to take that penalty, to see her and Russo combine the way they did in the final. But I tell you, Chloe Kelly has nerves of absolute steel. And, it was so great to see the Arsenal women shine the way they did in this tournament, the togetherness. And let's also give a shout out to our girl, Mariona Caldente, who has been brilliant since joining Arsenal. I mean, I don't want to see her score against England, but I don't want to see our players miss penalties. That's going to be very difficult for her to get over. I would have bet my house that Mariona would have scored that penalty in the final, and she didn't. I mean, the two players that missed penalties for Spain, and the squandered chances by Ballerina. I'm bastardizing her name, but the back heel, so naive, just smash it in the back of the net. the missed penalty, I would have bet my house she would have scored that too. I mean, in the end, as dominant as Spain were, England played the better tournament. I don't want to hear that England didn't, weren't the better team. Better teams don't always win tournaments. We saw Chelsea beat Barcelona in the Champions League final. According to Mikel Arteta, the better team didn't win in the PSG game. Fair play to him if that's what he thinks. But performances like Jess Carter, I thought she was the player of the match, along with Chloe Kelly, to come in and play the way she did. She sat for the previous game, but she was imperious at the back. And Leah Williamson, should we start chiseling a statue for this one? How many different centre-backs did she have to play with in this tournament? The leadership skills she exudes. She was also fighting an injury. She didn't have her best tournament. But again, if you listen to the episode that I did with Susie, she will tell you that playing with different players as often as she did, it disrupted her game a little bit too. And the truth of it is England's midfield did not have a great tournament. And the back line was very exposed. And the fact that they were able to fend off the attacks and the onslaught from Spain over and over again was really quite incredible. And I tell you, none of this happens without the Dutch master. Serena Wiegman is one of the best appointments of any English team ever in sports. She has been and has changed the culture and the philosophy of women's football. Winning the Euros changed the perception of women's football in England. Young men and men got involved. And I've always said that the game doesn't grow without the support of men. And at some points, men have been greater supporters than the women, and the women were late adopters. But now when you see the crowds at games and you see how the sport has grown, it's just been absolutely brilliant. And England do not win anything without the master that is Wiegman. She was brilliant, and you could question her late subs and how it was, at times, squeaky bum, but she is unflappable and she knows what she's doing. And I thought so too, Tammy. And they talked about that a lot. But in the end, she got it right. Everything she did, she got it right. So credit to the Lionesses, credit to the Arsenal women who are part of this incredible victory back to back. And by the way, legacies and legends have been solidified. And when you talk about the adopting the women's game, I just wanted to give you guys some tidbits here. The championship in Switzerland was the most attended edition in the tournament's history, breaking records of both overall attendance in the group stage and the knockout phases as well. A total of 657,291 fans attended the tournament, surpassing the previous record set in 2022. In England, of course, the group stage alone saw a record-breaking 461,582 spectators. Of the 24 group matches, only 2 went not sold out. So this is amazing, and hopefully everything good that has happened will translate for Arsenal women in the WSL. The fixture list came out. Check out the show with Susie from Friday to hear what we had to say about that, and also the record-breaking signing of Olivia Smith as well. And let's hope that our Arsenal women, who had an amazing tournament, can also get a good rest, and come back and play fearless football for the Gunners in what hopefully will be a season where we break that duck and we stop the Chelsea dominance and we deliver the WSL after an insane season. So well done to the Lionesses. Okay, listen, if people are talking about statues outside the Emirates, Chaitanya, let me tell you, Leah's getting there. If she's not there. So I heard someone say, oh no, they need to win the World Cup. I don't think so. People used to talk about players being the best without winning a World Cup, but she She will go down in history as one of the greatest Arsenal players ever, men or women. And what she's doing in the game is incredible. It really is. She's such a great leader. And just a matter of time before she's recognized in that regard. Okay, 220 of you in live chat. Thank you so much for tuning in, and appreciate you guys listening to us have a little bit of love for the Lionesses and the Arsenal women as well. So the big announcement this weekend, it finally happened. Gyökeres is a gunner. He flew out, not in economy, not in a jump seat like I did. I sat in a jump seat. By the way, did I tell you that when I flew back from Cyprus, I sat in a jump seat from London to LA? Let me tell you, it's not great for your butt. I just want to say. But I did it. And I felt like after I did that, I could do anything. Here he is meeting Miles Lewis Skelly. Here he is. Caption this, everyone. Kai Havertz, who looks huge. I mean, look at him. He looks like he's aged 10 years, Kai Havertz. Look at that. Beastly. Kai Havertz looks more beastly than Gyökeres here. What is going on? It's incredible. Anyway, caption this. But this is good. This is good for Kai. This is good for Victor. Competition to have these two playing as your number 9. And as we know, Kai is versatile and can step in if there's any injuries or any other holes we need to plug in. People wanting to remove Kai from the Arsenal squad, I don't think know what they're talking about football-wise. I think he's been one of our biggest assets in the last 2 seasons, and we saw what happened to us when we lost him. I mean, if Mikel Merino can score goals in this team, Victor Gyökeres is going to be able to score goals in this team. I am Dan Alpha. Kai has hulked out. Love it. 2 beasts up. They really are, Dan Alpha. They really are. Matt G says Gyökeres looks tall and short at the same time. It's crazy, isn't it? Ali sat in a jump seat from Bermuda to London. I will say this. My jump seat was in the first class area. So I kind of lucked out, and I'm giving it the roughen, but I did have beef Wellington for dinner when I sat in the jump seat in the first class area. So I can't complain. Andy says, I fancy them playing together against a bunkering Fulham, Everton, West Ham opponent, sacrifice a defender and go bananas with sharp, low and lob crosses. You are going bananas there, Andy. Is there going to be a scenario where Gyökeres and Kai play in the same team? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? What? I've changed, sold out. Oh, because why? Because I had beef Wellington in a jump seat from London to Los Angeles. Come on, that's not selling out, is it? Surely not. He also met, let's see, Bukayo, the hug here. There's going to be a lot of Bukayo from the left. Gyökeres! He gets his first goal for the Arsenal. Unmasked at the Emirates. Gyökeres, the era begins. Ooh, how was that? I can just see it now. And Benjamin White, who, by the way, has been starting some conversations I've seen among some fans about, being preferred on the right because of the relationship he has with Bukayo Saka. We're going to have to see how that turns out. I mean, let's not forget how amazing Jurrien Timber was. I think it's a bit of a case of Timber's a much better defender, but Benjamin White is more robust going forward, especially in his combination and his relationship with Bukayo. We're going to have to see how that works out. Let's see, who else did he give hugs to? Oh, Ethan Waneri. Now, look how big Gyökeres looks here. All right. Look how big Gyökeres looks in the picture with Ethan. Look how big he looks in the picture with Lewis Skelly. Like on an even par a little bit here with Benjamin White, but looks, kind of bulkier. And then Kai Havertz picture. By the way, those listening on audio, I'll post this as the thumbnail just so you guys can see it. This is insane. Gyökeres actually looks like a schoolboy compared to Kai. Not sure what's happening there. Kind of crazy. I love it. Dan says, Timber for the big teams, Benny Blanco for the low blocks. Yeah, maybe. We'll see how that turns out. Kai should replace Odegaard in the starting 11. Really? Not sure about that. Let's see. What else have we got? Keep your comments coming in. So GYÖKERES was unveiled. Very exciting. I think we all agree this is the signing. Now, what I saw as well were fans starting to, some, not all. I mean, this is just happening now, right? But with the Isak to Liverpool thing, you know, bit of panic has set in, I think, across the league with fans. There's no doubt if Liverpool get Isak, I mean, nothing's a guarantee, right? We've seen lots of things happen in football. But of course, if Liverpool get Isak, that's going to be quite the prolific transfer window that they have had. But they've got to make it work as well, and he's got to stay fit, which he did for the most part last season. Big Caesar says, can't see past Liverpool this season if they get Isak. It's going to be hard, which is why, and you'll listen to the Sky segment when I post it, which is why we need Eze to take us over the edge. Now, I'm not saying this hasn't been a great window. It's been a brilliant window. Andrea Berta has cooked. He has cooked to the point where the meat is like packing, right? GYÖKERES, great signing. Norgard will be a valuable signing, you guys. Trust me. In a few months' time, Arsenal fans will look back on this signing and say, you know what? We needed him in this squad. You know, we cannot have a weak bench. You remember that bench in the latter part of the season? It was weak sauce. We never had like for like. We weren't prepared. And I'm not saying Norgard is better than our midfielders who will be starting, but my goodness, coming in as Brentford captain with the experience that he has, he will be invaluable. Madueke, I think this is going to work, and I think this is a really good signing. And he's a versatile player. He can cover for Saka. He can also play on the left. He can start on the left, depending on what happens in this window. Another superb signing. Zubimendi, great relationship with Mikel Merino, settling brilliantly, has had, I think, a great start in the preseason. Played all of 3 months with Martin Odegaard at Real Sociedad. I believe Zubimendi will be like for us, I think he'll be like a David Silva type signing, that kind of impactful Bernardo Silva. He will be the tempo controller. We talked to Kevin Hatchard about him in our player files. Please go and listen to them versus me. I learned a lot talking to Kevin Hatchard about Mosquera and also Zubimendi. And when you look at kind of Zubi's numbers for progressive passing and how quickly he passes the ball, he's not going to hang on to it and go side to side like Xhaka. He's going to make things happen, and he will become Mikel's muse on the pitch. Odegaard is too. I think people underestimate the leadership skills of Martin Odegaard, and we've seen video and clips from games where he's bellowing and barking and pointing and, you know, at his players. Just because he doesn't lead in the way that you want, and you want Declan Rice as captain, Martin Odegaard is Mikel's second assistant out there. And then when you have a football brain like Zubimendi that's going to come in and complement, another brilliant signing, right? And then we talk about the re-signing of Big Gabby, Lewis Skelly, and also Waneri as well, all very important. And then Kepa to come in and be a number 2. We saw the value that he brought as well. But the midfield for me gets stronger with these 3. And I believe that they will dominate games in the way that we want and felt like was lacking at times last season. I'm really excited about this combination and this trio. And Declan Rice, I'm going to put my neck out there a little bit and say Declan Rice will put up bigger numbers, will play more like the Declan Rice that we saw against Real Madrid. And again, Kevin Hatchard talked about that. He'll get more goals. I'm not saying he's going to have a Frank Lampard numbers type season goals-wise, but we will see the best version of Declan Rice in the Arsenal squad this season because of what Zubimendi is going to bring to the side. And I also believe Zubimendi will make Odegaard a better player. And overall, he will make everyone around him elevate their game. And I'm very excited about him. And then, of course, you've got Waneri, who's going to come in and he's got a point to prove. Started off really well in the preseason game, has a lot of upside. He's, looking at Miles Lewis-Skelly and what he was able to achieve last season, and he wants that so bad. He wants to succeed at Arsenal, and I think Waneri is going to be a trump card. And he's had to pay his dues a little bit. And for him, I think what he needs to work on is his game off the ball. Mikel, as we know, loves players to win their duels. They love players to track back, which is why Martinelli still gets in this team. And whether that's right or wrong, Martinelli's hustle off the ball is quite impressive. So, but, I feel like we've had a lot of wasted chances on that left side, and that left side definitely needs improvement. So let's see how that goes. I agree with you, Harvey. Zubimendi is underrated. There are some fans that still don't see it, and I don't get that at all. Let me get some of your comments in. BX Gunner says, Odegaard and Martinelli must make the jump back to their best. I especially think Martinelli, got to look up, got to pass the ball quicker, not be wasteful, not be predictable. You know what's really funny? You could say that Saka's predictable. Hugs the line, right? He's going to turn in on that left foot. You know what he's going to do, but it's his movement, it's his timing, it's his decision-making that make him that, world-class-esque getting there player that he is. The value that he brings with his decision-making. Because there was a great video that Rio Ferdinand, Albert shared it with me actually, where Rio and someone else were talking about the simplicity of Saka's game. Predictable in the sense that very traditional, like hugging the line, waiting for the ball to come, takes the ball, makes something happen. But in between those moments, it's what Saka does here. It's what he does with his movement, his touch. That's what separates him from what's happening on the left side, which I think Trossard is less predictable, but I think Martinelli has become exceptionally predictable. Now, would I sell him? If someone comes in and offers 80 million, you've got to consider that, right? Especially if you can reinvest that into bringing a player like Eze. Have you seen enough? What you've seen, is that the ceiling? Is that how high Martinelli can go? 2 seasons ago, was that the best that we saw of him? I don't know yet. And I don't know. I defended him to the hilt last season. But right now, Arsenal need to sell assets. And as far as assets go, he is the most valuable that we have. Trossard, I keep hearing for the last 2 seasons, he's our most clinical finisher. And now there are some people that want to sell Trossard. You're not going to get the same value selling Trossard as you are Martinelli. And with the emergence of young Max Dowman, I mean, what does this mean now? Okay, Joe Linton, did I delete my Max Dowman picture? No, I did, which is a shame. Damn, how did I do that? What a mistake. What an absolute mistake. Max Dowman, okay, Joe Linton is a beast, right? He's an absolute beast. And excuse me, I had to blow my nose. I've been suffering from a cold the last couple of weeks. Max Dowman absolutely made him look like paper. It was crazy what he did. Let me get these comments up for Martinelli. I would sell Martinelli for 55 to 60. Big Caesar says, sell Martinelli for 80 to Saudi club and go for Rodrigo. I don't think the Rodrigo thing is going to work out for us. I don't. Although now Bayern Munich have bought Luis Diaz. By the way, Liverpool got a great price for him. Jeez. This is what we've got to get better at. And I think we will with Andrea Berta here, selling assets for prime money. AJ says, Soph, I think the idea of selling Trossard is to try and get something for a more senior player who I feel is not physically up to scratch anymore. Just more thoughts. Harvey says, take Martinelli off, please. Andy says, Martinelli is a much better counter player in tight spaces. Martinelli is a much better counter player than in a tight spaces Saka player. And Rice plus Havertz aren't a good match for Nelly. Maybe Gyökeres is a game changer for him, but I don't think so. PW said Xhaka was very good up front, assisted Martinelli. Yeah, I mean, we've seen the good and the good and the bad of all of our players when some players are missing. There was always the argument that, he was better when he was playing with Xhaka. Jeez. Martinelli only runs in a straight line, says Tammy. Yeah, I mean, I think he's become a little bit split on what to do with Martinelli. But I don't think we could argue in terms of what he does off the ball. With that said, Max Dowman, right? I don't know why my pictures of Max Dowman didn't upload, but who needs pictures when you're talking about this player? So I don't want to get too excited. And I've heard a lot of comparisons over the last few days of Messi and Lamine Yamal. This kid is 15, 16. We got to tread carefully here. I mean, there's no doubt whatsoever that he is exuding different skill sets. And the way he flew by Joelinton, who, by the way, has bullied our team this last season. Newcastle bullied us. And when you see Dowman play the way he did, I know it's pre-season, but Joelinton and players, they still play their game. They play with pride. I mean, he broke his ankles and he was fearless. This kid doesn't care. He's coming on the pitch and performing the way he is and playing the game that he loves. And under the spotlight, doesn't care. He's playing with zeros. Miles Lewis-Skelly and Dowman are built differently. And Saka was the same. This crop of Hale End, Waneri, I think, started off that way and will continue to do so given the opportunity. They're just built different. They're cut from a different cloth. They're cut differently than, I think, Emile Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, Maitland-Niles, all of these other players that we've seen come through. And we're going to have to really take care of this guy. I know that he's at the right club for us to do that. Comparisons to Lamine Yamal and Messi, it's easy to see why people compared Lamine Yamal to Messi. They played and came through the same club, same system. Dowman has this flair, and I believe English media, English fans in particular, get super excited because England don't develop these kinds of technically gifted players as much as we see on the continent. And Dowman has the technical ability, like the ball just sticks to his feet. His movement is unbelievable. But this is pre-season, and we need to be a little bit careful. We can't anoint him just yet. But I believe that he will get opportunities this coming season. He is an X factor. So maybe 10, 15 minutes in a game, the cups for sure. I think Champions League is where he could come in useful, where you need someone to do something special on the ball. If you need, if you're behind or you need a goal. But to think that Max Dowman's going to come in and just start, and that's not going to happen. It isn't. Let's see. BX says Dowman must be protected and guided correctly. We had Jack Wilshere. Yeah, we overplayed him. Cesc Fabregas, he was much more robust and, but he suffered with injuries at points. We overplayed Fabregas. We overplayed Jack Wilshere. Look, maybe we've overplayed Saka, hamstring operation. Hopefully he'll be fine this season, come back, play the same game that we've all come to know and love for the past 3 or 4 years. We've got to really, really be careful. And he can't play until January. He's 16. Yeah, but come January, this is what I'm talking about. Come January, you'll be in the latter stages of the League Cup. You'll be rolling in the FA Cup. This kid's going to get chances. Richard says people have to give Odegaard agenda a rest. He had a kid, played hurt, got his first big injury, only to be rushed back. 100 agree with you that Zubimendi will make this midfield much better. Well said. PW says, Sophie, give Martinelli support on the left. He'll be fine. He's becoming a scapegoat. Zinchenko was the weak link. I don't like scapegoats. And remember, I did a show. Why is Martinelli the new scapegoat last season? Joe says about Dowman, yeah, his close control and dribble speed is crazy good. Yaha says we should go for Eze, then upgrade on the left side in January or next summer, depending on which big forward becomes available. We can chill for a Barcola. What a player he is. Matt Robinson says Max Dowman is unreal. For me, he's more than ready. He's more ready than Waneri, although I know we are working off a sample size so far. Yeah, I'm not sure we can say that just yet. Elf Boy says that Dowman reminds him of a pre-prime Luka Modric. Another very, very good comparison. Esperota says GYÖKERES potentially could help Martinelli as he's known to drift out to the left. Gemenda says, I think we need to buy one more left on top of the Eze winger to compete with Liverpool. I'm not going to argue with that. I think that's a very fair and valid point. 345 of you in live chat, hit that like button and let us know what you think. Dowman is very, very exciting. He's, you could tell Tom Canton talked on our show a few weeks ago and said that the way Mikel doesn't really talk about players a lot, but the way he was talking about Dowman, number one, it was worrying him because you don't want to overplay. But number two, he's like, what is your plan, Mikel? And there's no doubt Mikel has really been bigging him up. Donald says Max can play at 15 years of age. He's registered as an under 21, so he's allowed to play from the first Premier League game versus Manchester United. I have to check that, but I thought he wasn't going to be able to be available until January, like I think it was BX that just said. Joe says Eze and another left winger makes the squad complete, 22 players and capable players for every position. When I rattled them off the other day when I was talking about it, it's David Raya, Kepa, White, Timber, Mosquera, Saliba, Kivior, Big Gabby, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Calafiori. Is anyone else worried that Calafiori could be the next Tomiyasu? Has he got a niggle again? This is really worrying now for me. I don't want to get into I'm not being negative here, but Calafiori's injuries, and the tough part with the Calafiori injuries is that we knew he had a really big injury when he was at Bologna. Very big injury. And, maybe that's a red flag, maybe not. Maybe they saw enough. Of course they did to make the investment that they did. But I'm starting to worry that Calafiori might be a player you cannot rely on. And what's really funny is when I'm looking at this season, it's like Jesus, right? I did a show with Harry and Tom a few weeks ago, and they were I'm like, how are you factoring in Jesus? You can't rely on that. And of course, there's the talk about him going back to Brazil on loan. I say that's a great move. You can't rely on him. And he's eating up a lot of Wonga every single week at the Arsenal. And Tomiyasu was getting paid a handsome sum for doing nothing. And I'm just a little bit worried that Calafiori can't stay fit long enough. And this is a real big concern. So we'll have to see. Joe says, I'm very concerned. Trivia question. Has Calafiori completed back-to-back games for us? No, I know, no banter. I was actually going to ask the question, Joe. Really, I was. Mike Hertzy in the house. At ease, Hertzy, how you doing? Good to see you. The consistency of the injuries is worrisome. Agree. Woody Wood. Calafiori injured again. Spaghetti legs. It's not good, is it? But, okay, so I mentioned those players. Then you got Marino, you got Zubimendi, you got Odegaard, you've got Declan Rice. Of course, we know Miles Lewis-Skelly can play in midfield. You've got Waneri, you got Saka, you got Madueke, you got GYÖKERES, you got Havertz, you got Martinelli, you've got Trossard, you've got Norgard, who I keep forgetting about, and maybe a couple of other players coming through. You add Eze to that, and one more takes us over the edge. I think that's a good team. I really do. I think we've got enough to compete. Look, we don't know how, just as we don't know how Zubimendi is going to adapt to the Premier League. We know that he's a really good player, but we don't know how he's going to do. We don't know about Wirtz. We don't know about Frimpong. I mean, we know Isak can play ball. They've lost Luis Diaz. Darwin Núñez might be going. They've still got Gakpo. They've still got Salah. I mean, Isak takes Liverpool over the edge. There's no doubt about that. Gyökeres, as we know, is a good player. They've still got that midfield three. Virgil van Dijk is another year older. Andy Robertson, a lot of football on his legs. No Trent Alexander-Arnold, but of course, they upgraded quite well in that area. It's not guaranteed. Everyone's handing Liverpool the title right now. And maybe Berta has something else up his sleeve. Hopefully it's not over for us in the transfer window. Hopefully it's not. We do need more. But the other thing to consider, you guys, is Liverpool will be playing with... Frimpong is good. He's a good player. Again, listen to the show with Kevin Hatchard where we talked about the players that come from Bundesliga and have gone to Liverpool. They are quality players. And Bundesliga and the physicality of that league, I think, is going to have a good level of preparedness for them coming into the Premier League. We're 2 players away, I still think, from me sitting here and saying to you, well, you know what? Maybe. Maybe. And people can sit there and be worried about Sesko maybe going to Man United or Newcastle, and then the comparisons with Gyökeres will start. Who's going to score more goals? That narrative, all that crap that's going to build up. Everyone's going to pick holes in Mikel Arteta and what he says. He's damned if he says we were the best team in Europe, and then he's damned if he says that there's 8 teams that can win the Premier League. I'm going to turn that volume down this season. Who cares? It doesn't matter what we say, what we do, who we sign, how we act. We know that there is a clickbait strategy because Arsenal fans engage so much on social media and people know it, and our fans will bite. And I bit and I've bitten and I have, gone to battle and argued, but you can't fight that stuff. Nothing's a guarantee. No signing is a guarantee. Everything's a risk. Everything. Even Isak to Liverpool's a risk. Look, we saw Liverpool sign. Andy Carroll was prolific at Newcastle. Hated. I'm not saying Andy Carroll is on the same level as Isak. Please don't take me there. But we've seen players. Fernando Torres, he was prolific at Liverpool. Just became like a meme at Chelsea. Shevchenko, prolific in Europe. It's not guaranteed. Robbie Keane was prolific at Tottenham. Not so much at Liverpool. It doesn't always mean it's going to work. And, Mikel Arteta has been given the tools this season. And Gyökeres has the talent. He can do this. But anointing Liverpool already before a ball's even been kicked, they're going to be playing with a lot of emotion as well. Listen, Squad Central knows about grief. All right? We all have lived through grief. Grief is a beast. Grief hits you when you least expect it. It can also inspire you in life to do better, to be better. But it can also rip your soul out and crush your heart and stomp on it any day of the week when you are not even prepared for it. And this Liverpool team will be carrying a lot. They've lost their best mate. They've lost a significant member of that squad. And you look around in you're going to be reminded of it every single time you play a game. Every single time that they play a game, they will be reminded of the fact that they lost their friend. And they also lost a really good footballer. That comes with tremendous burden. And it can also come with tremendous inspiration. But it's up and down. It's topsy-turvy. And it's not going to be easy for them. And also last season, there was the unexpectedness of Liverpool. No one was expecting Arne Slot to come in and have the season that he did, replacing Jurgen Klopp, a legendary manager, course, they had the architecture of a great team. They've got world-class players, but no one was expecting Arne Slot to come in and dominate the league the way he did. City fell to the wayside. The Rodri injury, Arsenal also, we just didn't put our best foot forward. We weren't prepared for our injuries. Liverpool stayed strong, stayed healthy. Bam, they won the title. I think this season is going to be a lot different. So, yeah, it can be a boost or it can be a burden. That's why I'm saying, TB says maybe that will motivate them to want to win the league for Jota. 100%. 100%. And it can also take its toll. It can also take its toll on people as well. Okay, so what else have we got on the agenda? We've talked about the Lionesses. We've waxed lyrical about Max Dowman. We've talked about Gyökeres, Eze taking us over the edge. I think that would be unbelievable. We've talked about maybe Sesko coming into the league and going to Newcastle or Manchester United, and for us to not worry about that because other people will create that narrative and they'll be doing the polls. Who'll score more goals, Sesko or Gyökeres? I can see that happening. Also, welcome back to the Premier League, Granit Xhaka. Sunderland, what a move. Good for him, good for his family. Clearly he missed the league, wanted to come back. So yeah, Granit Xhaka is a Sunderland player and best of luck to him. I think that this game coming up this week in Hong Kong against Tottenham will be fun. Missing out on Morgan Gibbs-White, the Greek Marinakis. I don't know what he did to Morgan Gibbs-White. Maybe threw an extra 20 grand a week at him. Who knows? But Tottenham in the mud when it comes to transfers. My cousins who are Tottenham fans are very worried about their team. Very worried. I haven't spoken about Saliba. I was going to talk about him. So here's what we've got coming up this week, Hertzie. We have Ben Jacobs on the show on Wednesday. Coming back to do some bits and bobs for us. We have Pedro from the Arsenal Opinion podcast, LeGrove himself, coming in on Thursday. And I really wanted to talk with Pedro about Saliba because I'm also trying to connect with Sammy Mockbell to come back on the show. I was going to clip it for everyone. Sammy Mockbell actually said on our show 3 months ago and reported about the Saliba contract. And what Sammy said was that talks have started and they're positive, but he felt at the time, and maybe the time things have evolved and moved on, but Sammy said at the time he felt things were positive, but that he didn't have enough to write about it or do an article about it just yet because it was such in the early stages. But the way Saliba has been talking about it, he answered a question to the AFTV guys and also followed it up with God is Great. So, yeah, I mean, re-signing him and Saka, that would be, I say, the icing on the transfer cake with Eze. That would be the icing on the renewed contract cake for the Arsenal. He seems happy at Arsenal. I mean, he does. Maybe that's naive of me. I don't think he's ready to go yet. I think he enjoys playing at Arsenal. I think he loves his relationship with Big Gabby. He knows he's the big cheese here. He knows he's the number one guy. Yeah, so, and thank you, Mike. Mockbell and Jacobs have been red hot for a while now. Brilliant work. Yeah, they're great. And they'll be back. Ben will be back on Wednesday. And hopefully, I'll be reaching out to Sammy this week. Hopefully, we can get Sammy back as well. Right. That is it for today. And let me remind you as well, if you've missed some of the recent shows, they're kind of evergreen-ish, so you can go back and listen. The Kevin Hatchard show on Mosquera is really good. Go listen to Kevin talk about Kevin Hatchard, for those of you that don't know. Excuse me, not only is he a commentator for Amazon, for Bundesliga worldwide, but he's a European football expert. He knows every player, every league inside and out. And he talked really brilliantly about Mosquera and how he can evolve and what he could bring to the table. In addition to Zubimendi, we talked about his game in a little bit more depth and detail. So please go check that out in our live section. There's also a great episode with Henry Winter, where Henry talks about Madueke and the time that he had spent with him during England camp. Talked about how Madueke has been spending time with his skills coach this summer. So please go check that out as well. Henry Winter has interviewed Noni a few times, talked about how smart he was. Just go listen to the episode. I think it's refreshing. Also, if you want to learn a little bit about Norgard, we did an episode with Natalie Sawyer, where she talks in depth and detail about Norgard and his quality, especially his leadership. And notice, by the way, you guys, in Singapore, Norgard did a press conference with Mikel Arteta. I think Mikel already loves him, and there's a reason why he's come to the Arsenal. Don't sleep on this signing, please, because I think he's going to be a valuable squad member, as I said. And as mentioned earlier, the Susie Rack show talking about Arsenal women and the Lionesses. Please go catch that as well. Some other great guests I've got lined up in the next few weeks. I think you're going to love it. We've got some good stuff happening. Hopefully, I'll be able to make an announcement soon about something I'm very excited about, which I know you guys will love. Here's what I would like. Ended up being solo today. Jordan will come back in a few weeks when he's not so busy. I apologize. It wasn't false advertising. He was definitely coming on the show, but he will be here soon enough. And look out on the community page as well. Thank you for those who've been listening on Apple and Spotify as well. Thank you so much for everyone who is going to be making comments in YouTube. I always try to respond to every single one as much as I can. Apologies for the sniffles towards the end there. I've been suffering from a little bit of a cold, which I can't shake. And I will be back on... look out for a live show tomorrow. There might be a live show every day this week, but definitely Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll have the new schedule out for the new season to you as well with some really good stuff that is happening. Joe loves the mystery. Yeah, I've already told Harry about Norgard. We talked about this on his show as well. Harry wasn't even into Zubimendi. A bit of a Debbie Downer on the old signings. Thank you, Donald. Thanks, Keith. Thanks, everyone. Our Chief Like Officer, please make sure you listen to her. Hit the like button on the way out. It costs absolutely nothing. Keep positive. We got some good stuff brewing. Arsenal doing bits. Congratulations to the Arsenal women. And make sure you look out for my segments, part 1 and 2, GYÖKERES, on Sky Sports, which I'm going to post after the show today. Until then, squaddies, I love you lots like vodka shots. Be safe. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. Oh, and next Wednesday, making his return to Squad Central would be one Mr. Kyle Campbell. So Kyle will be back rocking it next Wednesday as well. He went missing for all the banter with Manchester City, but I think retro banter is absolutely allowed at Squad Central. All right, guys, at ease, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Love you lots.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
I love how you guys start guessing as to what the mystery is. You'll find out soon enough.